It's spring. The snow's all melted. And the rocks are still here. In fact, there might even be a few more of them. Is there a rock breeding season? Good morning and welcome back to Rolling Hills Farm. I'm out standing in what we, not so seriously, refer to as the rockiest pasture in America. And I'm back out here this spring to try to move some of these surface rocks to open up more area that can be disked and replanted with more effective pasture grass for the cows. Our tools are a dirt bucket and a stump bucket to individually pick up rocks and then to move larger groups of rocks, and our Kubota SVL 75 skid steer. Pretty solid unit for this type of work. This pile of rocks and these other piles right next to it came off this hilltop up where you see the Kubota skid steer sitting. We cleared that entire hilltop, you know, maybe half an acre last spring, and planted oats with pasture grass seeding underneath. The oats served as a nurse crop, and the cows grazed those oats all summer long last summer. Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Rolling Hills Farm. Dave here. I'm standing out in the section of pasture we reworked back in April. Just a little patch here, and you can see the cows have really worked it hard. This is their favorite spot. They've got this grazed down, and it's oats with pasture coming underneath. They've got it grazed right down to the dirt, like I knew they would. And they'll be back here every time they're in this pasture. This will be their first stop. And you see they're kind of ignoring back along the edge the old grass because it's not as tasty as these nice oats. You can see they're just munching these oats off as fast as they can grow, and that's okay. That's why we did this. Over here we did a half acre last fall of cereal rye, and they grazed it right down to the dirt last fall. And now the regrowth, well, you can see they've hammered the regrowth this spring. There's big sections where they've grazed it right back down to the dirt again. You can see they're chomping it, even though it's getting into the boot stage. And there's plenty here for them to eat yet, but you can tell they've been in here rooting around this winter rye, and they've hardly even touched the old perennial grass over here. These rocks are sitting right where the last glacier deposited them 10,000 years ago. This is a 35-acre pasture that wraps all the way around Rolling Hills Farm. And for whatever reason, the family that settled this place after the white pines were cleared decided to leave these rocks where they are and just leave this area for pasture. They cleared 5 acres over there, and they cleared 25 acres on the other side of those trees for hayfield. But the rest of this just got fenced and became pasture, and it grows some grass. And maybe the reason this was left was there were just so many rocks that the family, working with, back then, horses, just didn't have the horsepower to get them all moved. Well, the rocks are all picked up for the most part, and now I'm running the disc over this spot. Now this doesn't need to be plowed and disked up like a hayfield. I just want to break up the sod a little bit, and it's soft enough out here that the disc is doing that, and so that when I come to seed, the seed can get down into the cracks, and we can get some pasture mix seeded here. Well, with the rocks cleared and the soil disked up, now it's time to plant some grass that will become some grass seed that will become pasture. And we want to put it down with a nurse crop of oats. The oats will protect the grass seed while it gets established. This giant pile of rocks is right alongside the hayfield, so big that there's actually trees growing out of the middle of it. And it's crazy to think that the family who owned this land before us, the family that settled this land, buried 2 giant rock piles out in the middle of this same field. Sometime back in the 70s, they just dug a big hole and pushed them in. Some of those field stones found their way into the foundation of the house and the milk house, which still stands right here. And of course, the big old dairy barn, built after the 1918 fire. You can see the stones plastered into the foundation. The exact same kinds of stones we find in the field, of these thick walls in this barn. There was also an old garage built for Model A's, Model T's, all made out of stone. We replaced it with this modern garage. And a granary sat over here, again with a stone foundation. That granary was in terrible shape, and we replaced it 20 years ago, 25 years ago, with our pole barn and shop. And this hill right to the west of the, or to the south of the pole barn, was where the root cellar was. It collapsed sometime in the 80s. We brought in a bulldozer and buried it and planted these maple trees. They were all little 3-inch tall 2-leaf maple trees. They've really grown. But under this hill, if anybody ever decides to dig here, they're going to run into concrete and steel railroad rails that held up the root cellar. It was giant. It was 30 by 40 feet. The family that settled this land emigrated from Finland in the late 19th century, along with a wave of Finnish immigrants who came here. Well, I'm told because this area looked a lot like their native country. Rocks and tough winters. There's this phrase they use, sissu, to describe perseverance of will and determination. And boy, it took a lot of sissu to make a go of it in a place like this. Many of those, the descendants of those immigrants are still here all around us. You can tell by the Finnish names and the soft Finnish accent that continues even today. And there's a lot of sissu in this township and in this area, dealing with everything there is to deal with today. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting to you. Up next, we have to start thinking about getting ready to bale hay. That's our biggest crop every year, and the grass is coming along fast. We'll be at it before you know it. We'll see you then. Nothing like fresh pasture day.